Mark Milton here with Inside Juice. It's the day in between the US Open ending and NASCAR starting. But I get to take a little break here to do this piece on wines in the keg. I had a chance to work at Cuvée Restaurant about 3 years ago. That was the first place that I'd seen this technique employed, and it's practical. It saves money and it saves wine. We go out to restaurants so often, and the cost of a glass of wine might make us think twice. We're looking at the price of a glass of wine for which we could easily get a bottle of wine. Wines in the Keg is going to offer people savings of up to 22%. Wines in the Keg is going to save the 25% of tasting room wine that is poured out because of spoilage. And it just so happens that my old boss from Mustard's Grill, the great Michael Ouelette, is at the forefront of this new business. I had a chance to talk to him recently and to lay out some of the basic groundworks of this business, its advantages and its challenges going into the future. Here forthwith, my interview with Michael Ouelette. What was it about this wine in the keg business that got you involved? What was it about the wine market that was changing that made you think that this was a good bet?
Well, I took John Houlihan from the Lark Creek group to really focus my attention on the format. Up to that point, this was 3-4 years ago, I hadn't really given it any consideration. And when he approached me to see what I could help him with or lend some assistance to when he converted Lark Creek Tavern into Lark Creek Tavern and wanted to put 8 wines on tap, I thought it was really intriguing. I thought he was making a bold move. He's really the one that's credited for bringing wine by the keg to the fine dining establishments format. And so he piqued my curiosity. The more and more I looked into it, the more I realized that this is really the way to go.
Well, the red tape's the same. You still have to go through a TTB. It has gotten easier since, for instance, Texas had a law that you could not sell anything over 5 gallons, and the kegs, 20-liter keg, is 5.17 gallons. And so they had, if you wanted to sell wine in Texas up until recently, you had to have special kegs. Now they've changed their law, and you can bring in a 5.17 gallon keg. But other than that, there's really, the TTB is realizing that people are interested in other formats, other sizes for their wine consumption, and have really, opened up that spectrum. So there's no real advantage as far as red tape goes, but what the advantages are, of course, are in your transportation costs, your packaging costs. Each keg is the equivalent of 26 bottles, so you're eliminating 26 corks, foils, labels, and the bottling costs, right? So it's much more efficient. You're filling up a bigger container, and so all those savings are passed on to the consumer, or in the case of the vintner, he gets to put in more in the juice and less in the packaging, which is good for everybody. Our experience has been that restaurants who switch over their wine by the glass from a bottle format to the keg format will realize a drop in percentage cost from anywhere from, let's say they're at 30 to 32, will go down to about 22 cost of goods, 22 and a half, somewhere, depending on what their margin is. They'll end up at around 22 and a half to 25. So it's a huge savings. And one of the major savings is one of the savings that doesn't come up at all on the P&L, but it's there. It's the wine that's wasted, that's thrown out on a Monday morning when the bartender discovers that 3 bottles of the same wine were opened over the weekend. None of them are tasting fresh, so they get quietly poured down the drain without anybody knowing about it, and they affect your costs. So we eliminated all that. The wines stay fresh from the first glass in the keg to the last glass. They're identical because of the argon. Well, this is the exciting time in the format business for wine. We're seeing anything is possible. So we're seeing a lot of bag-in-a-box out there. We're seeing people who have small wine by the keg systems that are integrated to sit on top of the bar, and those have certainly a place in the market. And then, of course, the standard kegs that we use are sinky fitting. They're the fitting that's used for all wines and beers, and so we're sort of making it easy to transition to this sort of keg without changing your equipment. But anything and everything is possible. So we're seeing, again, wine by the keg wine by the box, wine in individual pouring units that are sitting on back bars, and of course, wine by the keg. The emerging market, as the population turns 21 and they start drinking wine, the new wine drinker is just totally enamored with wine by the keg. They're smart people. They know wine much more than I did at their age, and they realize that the wine stays solid from the first to the last glass, and then they love the green aspect of it. So those two things, knowing that the wine is going to be the same every time they go to that restaurant or bar because of the way it's preserved with either nitrogen or argon, and the fact that it's green, it's 100% recyclable, and they're saving so much energy, it's just a win-win. Okay, I'm ready. Okay. So what it comes down to is we are all restaurants, on-premise businesses, hotels, country clubs, are all looking for a better margin and better quality. So what's going to give here? Packaging costs go up every year. Transportation costs go up every year. So what happens generally is that we have to compromise the wine. Well, this is reversing all of that. We're putting better quality wine in a less expensive package, and that's what's driving this thing forward. That's what's keeping me in it. I'm getting to offer the consumer better quality wine. We're exceeding their expectations. I'm talking Oakville Cab, Rutherford Cab, St. Helena Cab, Monterey County Pinot, Sonoma Coast Pinot, great Chardonnay from Greg Bjornstad. That's the beauty of this concept, is that we can put higher quality wine, pass it on to the consumer. The restaurants are happy, consumers are happy, we're happy.
The wine business is going through constant flux, and the wine in the keg aspect is going to have much the same perception issues as the plastic cork and certainly the twist-off cap. How much are people willing to pay for the ambiance? How much are you willing to, how much, 3, 2, 1. How much more are you willing to pay for wine poured from a bottle as opposed to wine poured from a keg? If it's about savings, this saves money. If it's about saving wine, this saves wine. It's funny how the fickle